Are you a buyer, seller, or holder?
I do believe in real assets in general in an inflationary scenario.
Welcome to Silver Heist. Thank you to our returning subscribers and guests. We are a channel that likes to hold physical gold and silver. To support my creation, please subscribe.
So we're pleased today to be joined by Mr. Max Porterfield. He is the CEO of Callinex Mines. We'd like to thank Callinex Mines for sponsoring this video and making Mr. Porterfield available for our questions. Mr. Porterfield, thanks for joining us today. Welcome to the show.
Thanks so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here today.
Yeah, so Mr. Porterfield, just recently, January 12th, the Wall Street Journal headline, U.S. inflation hit 7% in December, fastest pace since 1982. From the standpoint of commodities like copper, silver, gold, and zinc, what data or insights can you share with us?
Well, I mean, quite simply, it's going to be a great time to be in commodities in an inflationary environment. Obviously, a weaker dollar is going to be a big boost to commodity prices, given that all commodity prices are priced in U.S. dollars. And with that being said, though, I think the big demand driver, aside from just inflation, which is, we can't ignore that, is going to be the supply-demand fundamentals across the board for these base and precious metals. We've had a huge lack of investment due to a lower incentive price or lower commodity price that didn't incentivize exploration, which is now going to lead to some supply shortages. And you're going to see that with higher prices, which is, exciting from an investor standpoint, obviously.
What can you tell us about the recent classic car inflation? Are you a buyer, seller, or holder?
Did you say classic cars?
Classic cars.
I actually own a classic car. I mean, you threw me through a loop there. I was like, classic car.
I know.
Make sure, no. I do believe in real assets in general in an inflationary scenario. I think classic cars are. I actually own a '66 Mustang GT that I've had since my 16th birthday. I don't know if you happen to know that or how that question came about, but I'm long classic cars. I like classic cars. It's a bit of American history. Real assets, art, housing, commodities, and classic cars are included in that.
Sure.
Certainly.
Are your friends telling you, do you know how much you could sell that for? That car from 16 years old?
Yeah, I had a couple people mention it to me. I'm not ready to let go of it just yet.
The supply of classic cars is fixed. So that seems to be the case of inflation, with many dollars chasing a fixed amount of assets. But can you give us some insight into the amount of copper in a classic car versus a new battery electric vehicle?
You're really testing me here on my knowledge, but in terms of a classic Mustang, I think my classic Mustang's probably got around 40 pounds of copper in the car. And you look at a lot of these EVs, these SUV EVs, electric vehicles, are 150 pounds of copper. So there's certainly a lot more copper in these newer vehicles that are going to have the batteries. There's a big demand on these EVs they'll be putting on too. And I think, the impact that they're going to have on the commodity prices are being seen in just a short, just a very small amount, because that big move is ongoing. But government policy is a precursor to change. And certainly if you look at previously, different changes in government policy around cleaning up of even the gas-powered vehicles, like the demand or the necessity to have a catalytic converter in a car, for example, that had a huge implications on the platinum market. And that was a great place to be from an investment perspective when they impacted that. And I think what's going on with these mandates to move away from oil and gas-powered vehicles is going to have a bigger impact on the base metal space, certainly, and the battery metals and all the metals necessary to make that shift in a very short period of time.
You have a Canadian copper mine that you're exploring, which you're trying to position to fill that future supply need. What can you tell us about your property?
So in terms of our discovery, we made a discovery of a new deposit. It's a very high-grade copper deposit. It also carries gold, silver, and zinc as byproduct. And it's located just about a 30-minute drive from a small town called Flin Flon, Manitoba. Got a unique name. I love the name of the town there. And that area's got a 100-year production history, which is, as environmentally sustainable growth goes, it's much better to try to leverage off existing infrastructure than go out and rebuild all that yourself. And certainly from dollars, it saves a tremendous amount of capital. For example, we did a PEA on one of our other assets, and the mill is 100 million on that PEA. So you're talking real capital. So again, we've made that discovery in proximity to infrastructure. It also is in proximity to a hydroelectric power line. So it's a very high-grade copper discovery that has the opportunity to use clean, low-cost power, which would then in turn be one of the most cleaner, copper concentrates that potentially be produced. Obviously we've got a lot to prove up between now and then, but that's bigger picture what we're onto and why we're onto it.
Sure. Can you tell us more about this small town that's kind of pulling for your success?
Yeah, no, certainly. So the town, Flin Flon, Manitoba, sits on right on the border of Manitoba and Saskatchewan. This is a town that is mining. I'm from I was born in Odessa, Texas, and Odessa, Texas is oil. That's the contributing driver to that local economy. And in Flin Flon, it's mining. And these, Flin Flon's famous around the world. It's be crazy how many places I've been, Europe, Asia, where I'll mention Flin Flon, and people familiar with the mining business will be very well knowledge on have a knowledge base on Flin Flon. So with that being said, Flin Flon's in a unique predicament right now. It's not the first time it's been in the situation, and certainly we've got to find a new mine for Flin Flon, because the 777 mine is actually the flagship mine, the only mine that's producing to date, and that's shutting down in May. So Flin Flon's got a population of 5,000 people. The surrounding communities are another couple thousand. And 777 currently employs 785 direct jobs. That's going down to 50 jobs by next year in 2023. The best outcome for that town is to stem the job losses, is to have a new producer come online. And that's certainly what we're on to in our goal. That's not just a new goal. This is a goal that's been around since I've joined the company in 2014, is to find the next flagship mine and deposit to feed into those facilities to keep those jobs in that community going. Because let's face it, Flin Flon's a beautiful area, great fishing, but it's not going to turn into a tourist destination anytime soon. The future for Flin Flon's in mining.
Yes. Back to the future.
So, yeah, I like that. Yeah.
Is the Rainbow property, is it considered existing mine? Does that help you with permits in the future?
Actually, obviously there's hydroelectric power. The hydroelectric power line's within 200 meters of the Rainbow deposit, which is pretty incredible.
Right.
Literally on-site power. There's also a historic shaft about 500 meters away with underground workings down to the 200-meter level. And there's a historic deposit that was mined very, very briefly. A bulk sample was taken from it in the 1960s. And with that being said, because it went through that whole process, Rainbow was actually discovered within a mineral lease. So it provides for advanced permitting, has road access. So everything really that you can check the mark outside of the deposit already being there and being drilled out is kind of there for us to leverage off of. And we're very, very pleased by that.
So it's kind of like, it's easier to get a permit to build an addition to your house than to build a new house.
Right. Yeah. You're not starting over from scratch.
You had an end of the year letter to shareholders. Can you highlight some of the 2021 successes that you shared?
Yeah. So, when we entered 2021, Rainbow had just 3 holes into the deposit. And those 3 holes were, very deep relative to a lot of modern discoveries. Flin Flon's known to have deep discoveries. The 777 mine's down to 1.5 kilometers underground, to give you an idea how deep these discoveries and deposits can go here. And with that being said, as we close 2021, we have over 70 holes into the deposit area. We've announced intercepts to Rainbow up within the 300-meter level, and we've since drilled within 100 meters of surface. And we've got over half the assays that we haven't announced to date have been pending from the lab. So we drilled 35,000 meters last year, or up close to 35,000 meters. And we've only announced, 18,000 meters or so. So we have over 17,000 meters that are pending at the lab. But Rainbow, again, is now a bona fide deposit. And we're very, very excited about everything that's come over the past year. That's shaped up to be one of the highest grade copper discoveries in the world, truly. Based upon the results that we put out to date. We're averaging over 4% copper in everything that we've announced on average to date at Rainbow. And to give you an idea, the global average grade of copper produced is 0.5%. And to be in the top 10 highest grade copper mines in the world, you need over 3.75% copper on average. And again, Rainbow is a polymetallic discovery that also includes gold, silver, and zinc there.
Can you share with us some of your major long-term shareholders, including your position in the company?
Certainly. So I have a pretty significant position in the company. I own just under 5% of issues and outstanding. It's obviously a significant portion of my net worth is tied to the organization. But that's because, I think if you look at into entrepreneurs in general, it's part of the entrepreneurial spirit to have a big position in what you're building. And certainly that's the case for myself. My family has been a big supporter of the company as well. In terms of institutional shareholders, we've had Resource Capital Funds has been a long-term shareholder, Delbrook, SSI, Commodity Discovery Fund, to name a few. But we've got a number of institutional family offices. Over 30% of the float is held by institutions and family offices that are, have an expertise in the natural resource sector. And then, of course, we've got about 40% of the shareholders are retail, which is great because you need a mix of everything. And, we like to make money for all our shareholders, not just a subset of them.
So what's your proudest moment with Callinex Mine so far?
Well, by far, it was the discovery of Rainbow and being at the drill in the middle of a pandemic, being able to get out there when we hit Rainbow from the first drill hole. And it was obviously the most special drill hole because that's what started it all. It took 7 years. It was really just the beginning. So with that being said, looking forward, my next proudest moment is when we make the discovery of the next one. And, we're never satisfied to that end. We made a discovery of Rainbow in a small portion of a very, very large land package, bringing in a new tool set that wasn't a typical tool set that was used in this area of the world to make discoveries. Now we're expanding that with a broadened knowledge. Every drill hole that you put into the ground, you learn something new. And we certainly learned a lot as we've delineated Rainbow. And now we're looking to replicate that and make a sister discovery in 2022. So while that was my proudest discovery, I'm looking to build upon that in 2022 and want to do it again.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
In short order, if you'd like to join us on our journey, we'd be happy to have new shareholders come on board, and you can learn more about the company by visiting our website. That's at callinex.ca, which maybe you can link to. I'd appreciate that. And if you're inclined to become a shareholder after you do your own due diligence, of course, you can do so by buying on the open market. We trade in Canada on the TSX Venture with the ticker CNX, and for U.S. investors on the OTCQX under the ticker CLLXF.
Mr. Porterfield, we appreciate you speaking with us. Thank you for your time. Hope to talk to you again down the road.
Absolutely. I really appreciate being here today.